Heyo everyone, today I just got a video detailing about what I think we should be doing in the rucks this season. So, to get into it, I think obviously most people are starting with Brody Grundy. I think he's a pretty safe selection, uh, even though he's probably not going to get back to his best. Probably will stay around that 115, maybe push that 120 mark. But of course, at the R2 spot is where it gets more interesting. Now, Sean Darcy is at 13% ownership right now. That was a lot higher before, I think at 30 to 40%. So a lot of obviously dipped off him. But he seems like that he obviously very injury prone. He went off 9 times with injury last year during games. So that's obviously a heap. So that durability obviously a massive concern, as everyone knows. Endurance is pretty poor. He came, I think, in the bottom four for Fremantle's 2 kilometer time trial. Obviously, that doesn't really matter too much though, so I probably wouldn't really use that as an excuse for why not to pick him. But he does have that massive scoring power that we've seen. But I think he's just going to miss too many games this season. So really, I don't think at this point, after seeing the preseason games, you can't really pick him. Also, Lloyd Meek, I think people are just ignoring that he is going to take centre bounce ruck contest. He's going to play just about every game he's fit for, I would imagine. I don't think that they can just play him in the waffle. So I don't really think Sean Darcy is going to be too much of a worthwhile pick. Uh, Compared to the guy I would go with, Max Gorn. So yeah, just gone with him for like the past 3-4 years. Obviously, as a selection, being just about the best ruckman, him and Brody Grundy. And I think, to be honest, we got to do it again. 48% of ownership, so most people are at this point. Jackson isn't affecting him too much, even though he is getting a lot of ruck time. Gorn just too much intercept contested marking around the ground. Kicking a few more goals, it seems like, as well. Just, yeah, got that scoreboard to impact his game as he's even developing his age right now. So I think, yeah, he's going to be the number one ruck this year in my opinion. Brody Grundy is still going to be probably the number two. I think Darcy's probably going to tail off in average. He probably had his best season last year, I would say, in my opinion. He won their best and fairest. Natanui's probably getting a little bit older, but he'll still be good as well, of course. So yeah, these two will still be good, but they'll probably tail off. It'll probably be Gorn and Grundy, in my opinion, as the number one and number two ruck spots again this year. And then even if you want to go a mid-pricer, to be honest, I wouldn't actually be that much against Jared Witt. 380k is very cheap for a guy that you know is probably going to go about 90 to 95. I think you could definitely select him at the start of the season and just wait until he gets up to maybe like 450, 500k, and then you can upgrade to hopefully maybe Max Gorn if you didn't start with him, and hope he's maybe got to 600k, which he might not. So maybe you got to take a risk there, but I wouldn't be that much against it, considering it's going to save you nearly 300k, which you can put to all your other positions around the ground, and definitely help those be a lot better. So he's probably the only guy, though, I would say, other than those two ruck premiums, I would look at picking. I'm probably not that much for him, but I wouldn't necessarily say he'd be a bad pick, like probably just about most of these other guys are. Um, well, yeah, in terms of at least who you want as your ruck and super coach. Braden Pruce, I don't think he's going to play. He's probably behind Matt Flynn as their number one ruckman anyway. And even if he does play, he's going to average pretty low. So even as a bench spot, I just probably wouldn't pick him. Then, yeah, as a ruck bench spot, I think Ned Moyle obviously seems like, well, yeah, he's impressed in the preseason. Only played, I think, the second half in the game against Geelong on the weekend, so he's probably not going to be uh, uh, definitely best 22. But if he does play, he can certainly score a bit, maybe like 40 to 60 is a massive range, but he'll probably score somewhere within there in a full game type situation. But yeah, probably won't play every game unless maybe Jared Witz is rested or injured, then he'll play. Because yeah, he is Gold Coast second best ruck, it seems like, pretty definitely. Combin, I don't think will play. He's behind uh, Coleman Jones, Tristan Cherry, and Todd Goldstein, I would say. So, I mean, he could play forward, but even if he does, he scored 35 in that one game play last year. That was his debut, so, I mean, you can't really take too much out of that. But I probably wouldn't pick him. I think there is guys down here. You look at like Jack Hayes, Hugh Dixon, I think are probably better options. Jack Hayes played basically the full game for St Kilda in their preseason match. So I think when Patrick Ryder does come back, he's probably not going to play. It could play as a permanent key forward potentially, but he's probably not going to score much in that role even if he does play. That might not matter to you if he doesn't score much because he's only 102k ruck. DPP is pretty good, being that forward ruckman. So you could pick him if you want if he does play. But if he doesn't get named round 1 and Patrick Ryder is available, I probably wouldn't be too certain about picking him. Even though probably Rowan Marshall, Patrick Ryder aren't renowned really for the durability. But yeah. And then Hugh Dixon, seems like he's definitely going to play as West Coast second key forward now. Oh, actually, well, no. Well, given Jack Darling is back, he actually might not play. He would be their third line key forward, but he has been impressing. Really good mark. Prior AFL experience, so he could still play as their third key forward. When Oscar Allen comes back, though, I doubt he would play, so I guess be wary of that. But yeah, 102k again. DPP is pretty nice, pretty handy. So if you did want to pick him, I would probably not be the worst idea. I would say, yeah, pick him in your ruck or your forward line. Pretty cheap. We'll probably, if you can, hope he plays for the first 5-6 rounds. Maybe gets around 100. Probably pushing it to say 150k, I would imagine, unless he kicks a bag of goals in one game, which he could. But yeah, I would say, yeah, pick him if you want. I think I probably will pick him and Hayes, to be honest, just because I'm kind of scraping for money on my bench. So yeah, just to put more points on the field, I would say. So I think it's not the worst idea to pick either of those two, Hayes and Dixon, but probably the one or two guys, K guys for the Rucks, they're probably the only two I would pick, or even consider picking, really, to be honest. But yeah, that was the video. Tell me if you guys have got a different Ruck strategy, but yeah, that's probably mine just for the moment. So yeah, thanks.